In northeastern Iowa, heart of the state's dairyland, you'll find a community with a refreshing attitude. It's Waverly, Waverly, Iowa. A small city, yes, but steadily growing. You can see it in the scores of new homes around town. Homes that speak of the ambition, the success of Waverly folks. The city's growth is mirrored in local industry. Energetic, far-sighted firms interested in the future of the entire community. Waverly, Iowa, on the banks of the Cedar River, a city that's become an important part of the Iowa scene. Let's go into downtown Waverly, through busy streets filled with people, cars, and trucks, and pay a visit to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is a good place to meet that refreshing attitude we mentioned. In most chambers of commerce, you expect the hard sell, but not here. On the contrary, you're told that Waverly is pretty much like a lot of other progressive communities. No, you don't get a big pitch here. You'll hear that Waverly, just like other cities, offers industrial opportunity. Civic progress is evident, you'll be told by chamber members, in the growth pattern of Waverly, just as it is in other communities. But you won't be bombarded with superlatives. So, just what does Waverly promote? Actually, it's the simple, old-fashioned, refreshing truth that to achieve community growth and progress, you must make the community the type of place where people want to live. Waverly also feels fortunate to be the site of the 788th Radar Squadron of the United States Air Force. Again, the Waverly formula was applied to make the community the type of place where airmen would like to live. The Air Force went all out, too, in doing its part to develop good community relations. Today, the men in blue are as much a part of Waverly as folks who've lived here all their lives. They're welcomed wherever they go.
I came back here after having retired from the Air Force. My association with Waverly began out at the what was the air base. It was called the 788th RADRON, Radar Squadron. I was originally from Palo Alto, California. My wife is from Shell Rock, and she preceded me here, and so when I retired from the Air Force, my wife was already here. The job came open in late '78, and I started the chamber work in 1st of January 1979, and I stayed in the position 11 years until December 1989. So I'm the longest serving chamber exec that they've had in the organization. The four industries that we had, the major industries, were all diverse. And they were all weathering the economic downturn. We were doing better than a lot of Iowa communities because we weren't directly tied to agriculture. A number of our second-line industries were in some form of agricultural business, but it wasn't a good time for those 10 years in Iowa for the economy. And so the chamber took on what the board of directors wanted to take on. It did the economic development. And we put up what we called the spec building out in the Northwest Industrial Park. The building did sit vacant for a number of years until we finally sold it to Rada Manufacturing. So Rada has expanded it a number of times from the original building, but the Chamber Development Company did put that up.
We were starting to grow and look for a home back in 1985, and it played a role in keeping us in Waverly because it was ready. You know, the structure was up and ready to go, and so we purchased that.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington sent in a representative to go through to be sure that we were doing what we said we were doing. It placed our chamber in the top 10% of chambers nationwide. So there weren't very many chambers in a town of 8,500 people who were an accredited chamber. And it spoke very well of the volunteer leadership that we had on the board and on the committees, that they would go through this process, because it was not an easy process to go through.